Before we get any further, this video contains spoilers for The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 4. If you haven't seen it yet, we highly recommend you head on over to Disney Plus and watch it before continuing with the video. If you're all caught up or just don't care, let's dive right in. Over the years, we've seen many depictions of Order 66 and how it caught the Jedi off guard. Fans will remember Caleb Dume's POV in the first ever episode of The Bad Batch, or Cal Kestis' perspective in Jedi Fallen Order. We've seen Ahsoka under fire and the countless Jedi executed in the revenge of the Sith. But so far, there were only 3 instances where we saw the inside of the Jedi Temple, through Anakin Skywalker's eyes on one hand and through Reva and Grogu's on the other. Although these two POVs are on opposite sides when it comes to youngling killing, they both show that, on that fateful day in 19 BBY, the Jedi Temple was nothing more than a Jedi killing ground. In today's video, we'll be discussing why the Jedi seemed to die so easily and how incredible it was for Grogu, and in fact any Jedi, to have survived. Something that has always stood out as odd was how easily the Jedi were killed during Order 66. In an instant, thousands of Jedi were executed, but on the surface, this doesn't really make sense. These Jedi spent 3 years fighting an army of droids armed with blaster rifles, many times severely outnumbered against them. To boot, they fought alongside the clones and knew how they fought. On paper, they should have put up a much better fight. This doesn't apply so much to the Jedi caught completely off guard and shot in the back while on the battlefield, but more so to Jedi who had warning and some time to prepare. In this week's episode of The Mandalorian, we saw half a dozen Jedi taken out by what looked like a single squad of clones, despite the Jedi being armed and ready. In theory, there was little reason for them not to simply deflect the clones' blaster fire back at them, like we see Master Back do later in the episode. But theory is often far different from what happens in reality, and if we look a little deeper, we'll see just why these Jedi fell so easily. If we take a step back and remember the Jedi Code, everything becomes clear. There is no emotion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no passion, there is serenity. There is no chaos, there is harmony. There is no death, there is the Force. The Jedi Code was a cheat code for how Jedi should conduct themselves. Jedi were to remain calm and assess situations critically and fairly. They were to seek out information so they could make the best decisions and to strive for harmony and balance. But when you tie that into the Force, the meaning behind the code goes even deeper. The Force was a Jedi's greatest ally. Surrendering to it completely and letting it guide you gave the Jedi the ultimate strength, more so than any single Force power or saber form. As an example, that's why Obi-Wan Kenobi was said to have been a true master. The novelization of Revenge of the Sith pointed out Kenobi's ability to truly surrender to the Force and surpass Grievous. But on the flip side of that, emotions were what could cloud a Jedi's mind and pull them away from that state of meditative union with the Force, cutting them off from their greatest ally. And the Jedi of Order 66 were afraid. Imagine fighting alongside the clones for years. Imagine sharing meals with them, suffering the hardships of war with them, protecting each other's backs and joking around, only for the clones to suddenly turn and betray their allies for seemingly no reason. Those Jedi that weren't immediately taken out would have surely been left confused and afraid, uncertain about what they were supposed to do when facing down a stalwart ally. And it wasn't just one clone, but the whole 501st. That state of distress and fear would have been more than enough to hamper the Jedi's ability to rely on the Force. Compare that to other Jedi we've seen who survived. Master Yoda, famous for his strong connection to the Force, was able to handle himself precisely because he didn't let his emotions control him. Not all Jedi who survived did so because they were one with the Force. This week's Mandalorian episode gives us a great look into the scene of the Jedi Temple and how some Jedi survived, and particularly Baby Yoda and badass Jedi Master Kelleran Bark. To say that Grogu surviving was improbable is an understatement, and yet, survive he did. Of course, he wasn't the only youngling at the temple that day. We already know what happened to one unfortunate group of younglings, but the kids in that classroom couldn't have been the only younglings to exist. Grogu was just one of many trying to evacuate when the clone troopers stormed the building. In Kenobi, we saw how some of the Padawan fought back and how many were killed. Those survivors were taken and turned into Inquisitors. Grogu was one of several younglings the Jedi were trying to protect, and out of all of them, he was the only survivor, despite being essentially immobile and defenseless. That was precisely the reason he survived. In the book of Boba Fett, we get the first glimpse at what Order 66 was like for him. After the clones killed the Jedi guarding him, they advanced towards him, rifles in hand. They could have easily shot him dead, but they didn't feel the need to. He was an unarmed, defenseless baby in a hover cradle. He posed no threat, which is probably why they didn't shoot to kill on sight. This bought a Jedi the chance to put him into an elevator, as we saw in this week's Mandalorian episode, where he was transferred into the care of one certified badass Jedi Master, who is the other Jedi survivor we'll be talking about today. Kelleran Bark was OP enough to earn the title of the Sabered Hand as a Padawan. In this episode, he demonstrated his skill with the saber by taking on dozens of clones, defending and deflecting their fire back at them, just like we would have expected from the other Jedi. Although Kelleran was undoubtedly highly skilled, it wasn't his skill that allowed him to survive when others perished, but his resolve. Circling back to what we said earlier, emotions cloud one's judgment and make it difficult to rely on the Force. However, it wasn't necessary to completely kill one's emotions. What Kelleran demonstrated wasn't emotionless, but utter dedication to his duty. Looking into his backstory from Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge, we learned that Master Bark was a Jedi Master whose role it was to supervise Jedi Padawan as they went through their Jedi trials. Someone as skilled as the Sabered Hand could have taken on many other roles, including Jedi General, but instead, Kelleran chose to serve the Order by looking after its youngest members. What that shows is true devotion to his charges, which he continued to demonstrate during the siege of the Jedi Temple. Instead of taking the fight to the clones, what Kelleran focused on was setting up an evacuation route. He coordinated with the Naboo guards and the Jedi within to funnel out as many of the younglings and Padawan as he could. This sense of duty was what kept him focused enough to defend himself and Grogu. To Bark, failure was never an option. This isn't to say the other Jedi were weak. Despite their distress, they stood their ground and did the best they could to defend their students and their homes. But in moments of incredible crisis, being good just isn't good enough. And so, the Jedi Temple fell. With one Jedi Master and one helpless youngling, some of the only survivors to escape, based on what we know so far. Grogu survived, not despite his helplessness, but because of it, and because Master Kelleran Bark was dedicated enough to protect him that he fought through the haze of confusion to get them both out alive. That's our take on why so many Jedi died, and why someone as small as Grogu was able to live through the siege. What do you think? How do you think Grogu ended up separated from Master Bark? And what do you think of Bo-Katan's sudden faith in this episode? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.